Hello there guys, it's Niran here and welcome to an F1 2014 wishlist and suggestions video. Now that was a bit of a mouthful, but basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going through some ideas that I would like to see implemented into F1 2014, like I did with my Dirt 4 video. I don't even know when Dirt 4 is coming out. I don't know, that's not even been confirmed yet, but yeah. So yeah, similar to that, and just some ideas I came up with that I think will make the game personally better. Of course, if you have any suggestions, don't be afraid to leave them in the comment section. But first of all, the first idea that I thought of was sort of a manager mode. So a little bit, obviously you have the career mode where you can drive and you can succeed as a driver, but there's no way of succeeding as a manager of a team. It's a bit like a manager mode on FIFA, if you will. So you can like choose your drivers, livery, important team members, sponsors, etc. like that. Etc. like that. That doesn't make sense, but anyway. And maybe just a way of like of telling who are the best drivers to choose or best important members of the team, like mechanics and stuff, by giving them a rating system. I know it seems very familiar and very similar to FIFA, but I think that would be really helpful if you're going to implement that into the game. And maybe also the equivalent of scouting, again like FIFA, but like you can go into junior championships if they were implemented into the game and look at the next young driver, taking a look at some drivers who, you know, you wouldn't necessarily know about, but could actually be very good in the future. The sort of young drivers thing. Sort of, look, if you were going to look at GP3, like an example, I know they can't license that, or World Series by Renault, or something like that, and looking for young drivers within that, I think that would be pretty awesome as well. Or maybe even young driver programs as well, like with Red Bull and McLaren. That would cost a lot more money to set up, obviously, but that would be, I mean, that would be amazing. You could have like a youth system going on as well, and that would be really cool. Obviously, you'd be able to control your budget and choose what engine supply you want. Maybe Renault, maybe Ferrari, maybe Cosworth. I don't know, do they still? I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, you get my drift and things like that, and designing the chassis and stuff, and people who can design the chassis, whether they're any good, and that will show how they create the car. I'm trying to. I know what I'm trying to say. I think you might know what I'm trying to say as well. But yeah, I think that would be really cool. I'd love to see that, and even if it was not just making your own team, I don't know if you'd be able to do that, but even if you took charge of a team that already exists, like Caterham or Marussia, and trying to steer them towards any sort of victory, and drivers that already exist. Now, I know there is a sort of thing about the F1 licensing, and I know that means that Codemasters are very restricted when it comes to changing up drivers and stuff, which I'll go through in a minute. So this might not be possible at all, but it may be a sense where you have to choose from unlicensed drivers, and by that I mean made-up drivers or drivers from the Young Drivers Test, which I would have thought, I would presume, seeing as they're already on the game, would be possible. But then I suppose they're already part of a team as well, so it's the same sort of scenario as with the real drivers. But anyway, so that would be really cool. And a bit of a sort of a situation where drivers can move team at the end of the season, because it is, I don't know whether it is for you, whether it's the same for you even, but I always find it a little bit boring when I've got to like the third season, I'm driving for a good team, but everyone else is maintained at the same team. And again, I know that the licensing restricts Codemasters in that sense, and that means that they can't really change the drivers around. For example, I don't know, have Jenson Button driving for Ferrari. That's not really possible because of the way they license the teams, and they'd have to get lots of permission from various teams to do that, and I think it would be a little bit of a nightmare for them to do that. But if that was possible, for me, that would make career mode 10 times better and more interesting as well. Not just seeing how you've progressed, but seeing how someone else has progressed, like a younger driver who started off at Marussia, I don't know, or started off at Toro Rosso, and then they've gone on to win the championship at Red Bull. I think that would just give a little aspect to it as well. Now, secondly, or thirdly, depending on whether those last points were separate, but anyway, it's to do with the AI. Just before I go into this, a lot of these points will be about career mode, because I'm not someone who races online. I haven't really got a huge amount of experience online. I do find it annoying that there's quite a lot of lag, and there's various glitches where people can only host a sprint mode race if they have the normal edition of the game or something like that. But seeing as I'm not experienced in that, I won't go into that in too much detail, because to be honest, I don't really know. But yeah, anyway, about the AI, faster for a start, because the difficulties for me are okay. I don't mind, the difficulties are fine, and the pace of them in each difficulty is fine, it's realistic. But at the start, the first corner, the AI is so slow and it's unbearable. And I don't, you know, I did a career mode video on Friday. Well, yeah, I uploaded it on Friday, and going through turn 1, like the AI drivers were so slow. I didn't want to pass them because it'd be unrealistic to drive past about 10 AI drivers, but it would it would be possible. Especially at a track like Malaysia, where for some reason they are unbelievably slow through the first corner. Everywhere else they're fine, they're quick, often quicker than me. But into turn 1 on the first lap, they are very cautious, a little bit too over-cautious, I think. But yeah, that would be nice, just to see that change a little bit. As far as the AI go in general, I do like them. I think the amount of crashes they appear to have on their own is very entertaining to watch that happen. I think really they're very entertaining. So I don't, Codemasters don't have to change that, because I'm quite happy with that. But something like alternate AI strategies on race day would be nice, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm pretty sure everyone has the same strategy, everyone has the same setup as well, which is, I think it's 666 down the middle or something like that, I don't know. But they have the same setups and everything, and then really they have the same strategy. I don't know, I haven't really played the game a huge amount, well, enough probably to know that. But I do know that if someone set a time on the harder compound tyre, and they got into Q3, they should start on the harder, they should start on the tyre that they set their fastest qualifying lap on, and that doesn't appear to be the case on F1 2013, so maybe if they did that, that would be quite nice, just to make it more realistic, and to change up the AI strategies just a little bit, just get a little bit boring. And what else? Ah, yes, characteristics of the AI drivers. Now, I don't mean to bring up the stereotypical type, but someone like Grosjean or Maldonado, well, actually, no, not Grosjean anymore, but Maldonado, and if somehow Johnny Giacotto got into F1, then their driving style would be different to someone who's, say Jenson Button. So, and what I mean by that is, someone like Maldonado or Giacotto, maybe they would get into more incidents during the race than some of the other drivers, or Jenson Button, for example, who'd be able to conserve his tyres a lot more than someone else. And things like that, and people who are more cool and calculated, or people who tend to go for rash moves, well, not rash, but you know what I mean. That would be nice. I don't know if that's slightly implemented into the game, because I do notice Grosjean has had a lot of accidents, although he's not obviously crash happy anymore. It's more Maldonado, sort of, but they're both getting better. But yeah, that would be nice, just to see that a little bit, a little bit more. I don't know if that's already been implemented, but a little bit more would be nice. Now, I think most people would agree with this, but more frequent safety cars. Now, I've not played the game much, but I have already had a safety car. I just got lucky in that sense, or unlucky for that specific AI driver, but nonetheless, it is extremely hard to get safety cars, and obviously it's not an objective to get a safety car, but in real life, obviously you do have a lot more safety cars with people getting, stuck in gravel traps or breaking down, engine troubles, gearbox troubles, alternator troubles, whatever. And in this game, it feels like you can only get a safety car if there's a massive crash and if there's a big accident, at Monaco. And otherwise, you're quite lucky, to be quite honest. Obviously, it's not a huge problem, but I'm just pretty sure that making it so that safety cars can come out on a more regular basis would make the game more realistic. Now, just going back to the career mode sort of aspect, just quickly, young drivers. Now, I think it would be really cool to see graduates, like, sort of, I know obviously they can't implement GP2 and GP3 and World Series Pyranha, because again, they have to get licensing, but the sort of equivalent, if they made like a junior tier championship that wasn't even licensed, maybe had licensed drivers, but wasn't licensed at all, like made up teams and a made up name and the such like, and if an AI driver wins that championship, they move up into Formula 1. I think that would just, again, give it more of an aspect, along with drivers moving to different teams and stuff like that. I think, again, career mode would be really awesome. I'd love to play it. Obviously, it's very entertaining for me at the moment, but that would be really cool. Even if the drivers are made up, if the drivers were made up, it wouldn't be as good, obviously. I'd love to see someone like Sam Bird or Marcus Ericsson or Daniel Apps, I don't know why Daniel Apps, or Kevin Corges, getting into F1 eventually, and doing well in that Tier 2 championship, whatever they'd happen to name it, and then getting a drive in F1, or even a test drive as well. Test drivers don't appear to be present in the game. Obviously, you've got the young drivers test, but after that, they're not really present within the career mode at all. Now, moving on to sort of the gameplay and the such, like a realistic damage option. Now, obviously you have, I think it's not called cosmetic, but it's the equivalent of cosmetic damage, where you just get damage to the front wing and punctures, but you can't actually retire. You can't obviously rip wheels off, and then obviously you've got full. It's pretty much the same as any Codemasters game. But what I would love to see is an option of realistic damage, where literally it's like in real life. If you tap a barrier, if you run into a barrier at a street track, most likely you'll rip your wheel off. Or if you tap into the back of someone, you cause a puncture for them, and front wing damage to yourself. Now, obviously, this isn't going to float everyone's boat, but I think it would be good if they had an option for those who would like to see that. Because I'd love to try and race during that. I mean, that would be one heck of a challenge for me, trying not to crash into people for a start. So yeah, that would be really interesting for me, and I think it would give the game a little bit more of a realistic aspect. Again, obviously, it would just be an option that you can switch on or switch off, like the damage options they have at the moment. So it wouldn't be, what's the word? Mandatory for everyone. Sorry, that took a while. But yeah, that would be something that I would like to see. Just small things as well. Warm-up laps. I think people just really want to see warm-up laps back. Podiums would be nice. When when you get on the podium, for me anyway, my first season, if I get on the podium, I want to see a massive humdinger of a celebration about things, and that would just be, again, a nice aspect as well. Interviews and press conferences. Now, the last F1 game I got, which I'm ashamed to say was F1 2010, did have this option on, and you were interviewed by the press, and I really liked it. Obviously, the reactions and what you could say was limited, but it was still very interesting to see how it had an effect on your team, how it had an effect of your position in the team, how it had an effect on other drivers within the championship, and stuff like that. And I think that would just be really cool to bring back. I really like that whole interview sort of system. I wish they'd bring it into other games as well, but it doesn't seem to be something they're very interested for me in doing. Online, I said I wouldn't actually talk about online, but just online, just the equivalent of Joyride on Dirt 3. Now, obviously, this wouldn't be like just driving around randomly, but sort of, I don't know, like just some sort of session. I want to say practice session, but I suppose it would be like that, some sort of practice session, or something like that, where you can test out like different settings and different setups on different tracks, how your car performs in different weather conditions and stuff like that. And you can just drop in and drop out whenever you want. It's just a sort of, I don't know, you can host it and it would be like 1 hour or something, and people can drop in and drop out when they like. They don't have to spectate or anything. They just go into the lobby and they're in the garage and they can go out and test different things. That will make it a lot easier for me anyway, going out and setting up my setups. That makes no sense, but you know what I mean. Rather than having to research it on YouTube, because obviously I'm not knowledgeable about this sort of thing at this point in time. I will, hopefully will be soon. But yeah, so that will make things a lot easier. Pit stops that aren't perfect, because so far I've had pit stops that are pretty much the same length every time, and that's 3.1 seconds. So I know it would be annoying at the time, but again, it would make the game more realistic. Maybe it could be another thing that we could switch on or off again on the settings options. But yeah, a pit stop where, I don't mean where, they don't put the wheel on properly and your race is over, but something where, the right rear tyre was slow to be put on or something, and it takes 5 seconds rather than 3 seconds, something like that. I don't know, that would just spice things up a little bit in the race, rather than going and knowing what's going to happen. And just quickly, also longer replays, and like an option to watch another AI driver's replay, or another driver's replay online. It's something that's been in various PC mod games like GP4 and R Factor, and I think R Factor, something, yeah, GP4 anyway. I know it's in GP4, and like that would make montages, crash montages, a ton easier. And for me as well, getting footage for the qualifying report on my career mode videos, that would make that so much more easy if that was the case, and longer replays as well, because you can only have literally about 7 or 8 seconds worth of replay when you go on to the flashback, and not just because you want to see the replay, but if you use your flashback, if you don't use your flashback, if you get into some sort of shenanigans, but the crash is sort of a long drawn out one where the mistake was quite a long time ago, you're most likely stuffed in the sense that you probably won't be able to get back there and you'll probably just have to accept it. Obviously, not many people use flashbacks a huge amount anyway, but anyway, yeah, I think that would be nice. So then, guys, that's pretty much it. That's all I could think of. Again, if you can think of any other suggestions in the comment section below, that would be great, and I'd love to see your opinions. Like and subscribe if you did enjoy the video. Comment about enjoying it if you enjoyed it that much, and if you have any suggestions on the channel in general. To be quite honest, I'm feeling as if I need to know your feedback. So it's been a pleasure ranting with you guys today. I hope you enjoyed. Have a good day, and goodbye. I tell you what, before now, if I told you that Etihad were the sponsor of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, I don't think you'd believe me. Nonetheless, in other news, we're ready to get underway.